Hello, everybody. If you haven't already seen it, check out the first video where I unbox these Allen Edmonds McNeil Shell Cordovan shoes. And then for the first time use Pure Polish products, Shell Cordovan Cream. And today's video is special because we get to talk live via Zoom with Andy Vaughn, the owner of Pure Polish products. Okay, so let's go. Hello, everybody. It's Robert Powers.
4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection. These are made of Shell Cordovan.
Here they are finished up.
I'm not a professional. Look how tight this is, though.
Very clearly here, I just cut the thread in half. And here they are, all finished up.
All right, I am very excited to reconnect with Andy Vaughn here. Andy, I do consider you a friend. If anybody hasn't seen the first two videos, there are two videos, I believe, where we talk extensively. And this isn't like, I don't think people would find it as like just a smoothly covered up sales pitch. I really like the transparency, you know, where you say, hey, this is what's in the product. So today we're going to talk about this stuff. And I did purchase this. It's not sponsored. And if you can see, it's hard to see probably on this screen, but this is the Shell Cordovan Cream is your brand newest product, correct?
Correct, yes.
And it's nice and sunny where you're at. It's already dark here. So you're in Bend, Oregon, correct?
Yes, in Bend.
And
Yeah.
you want to say what that nice little building you're sitting in front of is?
Yeah, this is my warehouse right here. I happen to lock myself out of, so I'm sitting outside enjoying the sun. I got a table here, and you know, it kind of goes with the nature theme, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Right. So we're going to have people here that know and like Pure Polish products. We're going to have some people here that have never heard of you, don't know anything about it. So why don't we start maybe with the big picture and I guess maybe the very, very short version of the company and how it got to you and what your guys' focus is?
Sure. So we focus on high-end like leather care, really, focus on shoes. And we take the natural approach. Really, we use orange peel oil instead of petroleum oil or turpentine as our solvent. So orange peel oil, D-limonene, is a non-toxic biodegradable solvent.
Could you
And
back
so
up a second? You said a word I didn't catch. D what?
D-limonene, that's the chemical scientific term for orange peel oil. So orange peel oil, and it's cold pressed, and it comes straight from oranges, and that's what's used to help spread the product. Yeah, so that's what we're known for. It offers a nice, sweet, aromatic orange
sounds like
smell
orange.
to it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but it's not a fragrance. There are other companies that use fragrance, and sometimes fragrance can impart on your shoes, but given that it's a solvent, it evaporates over time. So your shoes aren't going to smell like orange,
They do
but
not.
the
Yep.
the product will smell like sweet oranges, and it makes the whole experience just all that more pleasant. So you're not sent to the garage to go polish your shoes every time you open the jar of the product. So
In one of my other videos with you, you know, when I forget which one it is, I'll link it in the description. But my wife has a clip in there, and I had her close her eyes, and I put kiwi under her nose, and she goes, "Oh," you know. And then Sapphire, and the Sapphire, she's like, it wasn't horrible. She says it smells kind of woodsy. Then she's like, "Oh, you know," but she definitely likes the smell of the
good.
Yeah, yeah. So the oils that's the solvent that helps bring the product, and there's different amounts of it for whether it's the paste wax or the I'm drawing a blank right now, paste wax versus the cream.
The cleaner conditioner, the
versus
creams,
cleaner
the water resistant, the Shell Cordovan cream. Yeah, they all have different ratios of solvent, wax, still oils, the conditioning oils that we're using in there. They all have different ratios, pigments, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And well, maybe you want to talk just really briefly then about your leather cleaner and conditioner. I really like the product. And I'm not just saying that, like I said, because, you know, I do prefer it. I think one of the other industry standard products would be Saphir Renovateur. Saphir Renovateur, though, I think mink oil, if I'm not incorrect, is kind of their basis of that conditioner, right?
I think so, yeah.
My personal experience with it, though, is some of this is a factual, some of this is my opinion. I don't think it absorbs as well into the shoe. That's just my feeling of it. The downside to me, though, to the cleaner conditioner on standard leather is you do have to wait. I figured that out the hard way. I think your jar says an hour to two. You got to wait for me like a minimum 45 minutes, or it's just like tacky. But if you're willing to wait, it's great. Love it, love it, love it. And it seems to really get deep into there. I've used some other things that just seem to be too runny and evaporate. I think yours is my favorite. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's other people, and Sapphire is one of those companies that is also trying to approach it from the wellness aspect of your leather, right?
Uh-huh.
So they have their approach, we have our approach. Our conditioning oil we stick with is coconut oil base. It's antibacterial, antimicrobial. It also has a fatty acid structure that is less likely to go rancid over a longer period of time. So based off that fatty acid structure, it's less likely to introduce oxidation, which can create a microbial environment, bacterial environment, which is what we're trying to prevent in leather. We got to keep it acidic and we got to keep it so it doesn't grow mold and funk
Acidic.
and
That's the
rot.
things I remember you saying that. That always surprised me. You want to keep it acidic. When
You
leather
want
gets
to, yeah.
old and brittle and cracks, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's more to it than just it's dry. It's not a drying out. There's more to it than that, right?
For sure. I mean, out of the tannery, right, there's multiple ways, whether we're talking about depending on the tannery, right, in the ways in which that they can get the waxes and oils tumbled in or rolled into the leathers.
Mhm.
But essentially, they're trying to keep the leather soft, supple. It's got the oil, it's got the wax. It's supposed to last a long time. Sometimes the reasons that they use certain oils historically are based off of historic reasons, like
Uh-huh.
um, maybe veg tan with oak bark, and they would get tallow, and then they'd get fish oil or all sorts of things, right? So there's a lot of historic reasons as to why they'd use certain oils and waxes. But given that we're a post-consumer product, what you've got there is you've got the approach of what is best now to make sure that it lasts a long time. So you're dealing with environment as you wear your leather in the rain, as you expose it to warm, dry sun or moldy, foggy environments, more humid environments. All of those have to be accounted for based off of the care. And so keeping it acidic, keeping it antibacterial and microbial, and keeping it healthy so that it's nourished and doesn't crack, like you said.
Right, right. Especially with Shell Cordovan. In this video,
Hmm.
I already kind of explained the basics of Shell Cordovan, talked even a little bit about I've visited the tannery, the Horween leather tannery. Now, being that Shell Cordovan is actually a membrane, and it's just expensive. I paid $250 for these shoes, and they would have been $850 now, brand new, from Allen Edmonds. I remember this was pre-COVID. I went to see the Horween Tannery. They said that the standard calf skin at that time was $10 a square foot, and at that time they said the Shell Cordovan's $100 a square foot.
Yeah.
Um, what changes? Why do we need a different conditioner when we condition Shell Cordovan? Is it because it's so expensive we're taking better care, or is it because the difference in the material requires a different thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So Shell Cordovan comes from the hyaline layer of the horse.
The what
Um,
layer?
Hyaline, Hyaline. And so
I've
it's that
seen.
rump of the horse. They get small
Uh-huh.
sections per hide, and it gets hot stuffed. So it gets rolled and tumbled and injected with waxes and oils over a long period of time. But it's dense. It's eight to 10 times denser than calf skin. And what's interesting is due to its nature, it has this almost self-healing property to it,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
where if it keeps those oils and waxes on the inside, then it offers the ability that if you get a scuff or scratch on the outside, you can almost go over it with an ebony stick, a deer bone, or silver spoon with some conditioning cream, and you can basically polish out the scuffs and scratches. So it doesn't need the wax on the outside like calfskin does to protect it from the scuffing and scratching, but it needs the oils on the inside much more, and it needs to absorb those oils properly, which is the reason, the impetus behind creating this product.
And I don't know if it shows up on video. And these are the first. I've featured a few pairs of Shell Cordovan shoes on my channel, but these are the first ones I can actually wear. And that's the one thing I notice when I'm walking is they're shiny. And I don't know what the previous owner put on, but they don't have any polish on them. These are just, the pure polish, the Shell Cordovan cream and brushed, and they're beautiful. They have a higher natural shine.
Yeah, and shell is known as like the glassy layer, and when it gets all that oil and all the waxes on the inside, it has a tendency to gleam and glow and shine. It has that natural shine, so you don't need to have quite as much wax on the outside, but you do have to make sure that maintains the oil on the inside.
Mhm. So, what did you do differently and why with the pure polish with the Shell Cordovan Cream. Because what
Yeah,
I noticed compared to the leather cleaner and conditioner, it's whiter, it's less transparent, and it feels denser. It feels like room temperature butter, maybe, I guess, where the other stuff, I actually haven't opened this new one. I'm still using this one. Is this stuff any different than this stuff?
Oh, in terms of the old pure polish cleaner conditioner and the newer pure polish,
Yeah.
the method for creating it has been perfected and refined. I can consistently improve the processes, so it's just likely to be more consistent. But really, the recipes are
Well,
continually iterating and
okay.
improving by slight
Not
percentages.
drastically different.
No, no, it's essentially the same product. Um, but yeah, the Shell Cordovan cream is different, right? It's designed to condition. So it doesn't have as much solvent as a cleaner does because the orange peel oil is a natural cleaner. And when it's in higher ratios, it will be used to clean, right? And so that's kind of the dual action purpose of cleaner and conditioner. Whereas the Shell Cordovan cream doesn't need that much solvent in it. And it also doesn't
Why
have quite
not?
as much, well, because the solvent is the cleaner.
Okay. Well, I got some on my
So
finger. I might as well put it in the shoe here.
so you're not, you're just
It definitely has a denser consistency than the cleaner conditioner for sure. It does feel,
yeah,
I would say it feels about like room temperature butter, where I'd say the cleaner conditioner feels like Vaseline about as far as
sure.
consistency, just the feel.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and that's a good analogy. So I mean, it is definitely more about putting the oil in and using small amounts, making sure it gets absorbed, and
Here's
then
something else.
allowing it to glow.
Okay. If I stick my nose in this and take a hard whiff, it's like, woo, right? It's still pleasant, but it's more pungent. This, now I don't have a very good sense of smell. I have a deviated septum, but the scent is very mild. It's less aromatic, which is probably because there's not as much of the solvent in it, right?
Right? Yeah, because we're not scenting the products. The scent that comes is from the natural ingredients of the orange peel oil and the coconut oil. So it's got, and then the beeswax, of course, has a little bit of scent to it just naturally. But yeah,
Okay.
it's not going to offer the strong orange scent that the higher solvent, the higher orange peel oil product, cleaner conditioner will have.
Okay. Um, is there anything wrong with using cleaner conditioner on Shell Cordovan? Would it hurt it? What's the
No,
downside?
no, not at all. It's just not a product. So the design behind this was to create a product specific for Shell Cordovan. I had quite a few people reach out who are just Shell Cordovan enthusiasts. They own 20 to 120 pair of Shell Cordovan, and they wanted a product that was
Russell.
specific. There are a few people in there in the community that they want to make sure that the product is best for what they're applying it on, right? And
Okay.
they weren't happy with what was in the marketplace due to evaporation rates. Like you were saying, maybe it was too sticky or too liquidy, or it actually didn't nourish the shell quite in the way that they wanted. So this actually the product design behind this started 2.5 years ago when I was creating a balm, a conditioner, a custom product for kudu leather. And out of about 10 recipes I created, I sent to one of my friends, David Levin, Shelvage, who's known as Shelvage on Instagram and
Oh
YouTube.
yeah. Yeah.
And he kept testing a bunch of the products. I'm like, here, try these, see what you like. And he's like, this one is amazing on my shell. What did you make? How did you do this differently? And I was like, okay, let's revisit it. And after two years, he's like, you've got to release this product. I still keep coming back to it. It's the best thing. I use it all the time. And so I took it and then I created about 30 recipes of A/B testing with different oils, different waxes, and blind testing it, testing evaporation rates, trying all the different combinations, and then dialed it so that we got a final recipe. And then I had a few alpha testers test it on their shell and give
Wow.
me reports back. And then it was
And
the
that's what
winner.
became this.
That's what became that. Yeah, we
And
tested
then
across
what is in it again?
multiple tanneries.
What's in it
What's that?
again? What is in it again?
Oh yeah. So it's got a cold pressed coconut oil. It's got a cold pressed orange peel oil, and it's got white beeswax, and then vitamin E oil, like a tocopherol, which is essentially for extending the life and reducing oxidation over time, so it'll last over 2 years, even after being opened.
Wow, that's it, huh? Hmm. Wow.
And some techniques in which it's combined together to create that nice consistency. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. I don't think shell, like we were just talking, you need to wax it. I mean, this could kind of be all you really need, right? To keep your shell shiny as well as hydrated, right?
Yeah, it's the all-in-one taking care. I mean, you may also want to clean it, right? So you can use a cleaner, conditioner, or just a cleaner for making sure that it's ready. Brushing it off is always very helpful. But some people do like to add wax or high shine if they want to make it glow or make the tip shine even better. But it doesn't quite need the protection level that calf skin does or that other leathers that are more delicate need. It's got that density. It needs to stay hydrated. It needs to not crack. It needs to not tear. But it just doesn't. It can take the battering and abuse that the calf skin kind of can get knocked around and have permanent aesthetic changes to it that it can handle.
Right, right. And I think some of the other products, and by the way, I do like your style. We've talked before, and you've never said anything. You're not the type of person that says bad things about other brands, and you've always been direct, open, and honest. Like, no, I'm not sure, I don't know, but I like to at least list them. The other products, I guess, outside of Saphir Renovateur, would be Bic 4 leather conditioner, right? Is another one that a lot of people. It's made by Bickmore. It took me a while to figure this out. But Bickmore, Bickmore, is the company. The product is Bic 4, right? Leather conditioner, and leather conditioner cleans, polishes, protects, da da da. But that's one that people talk about for Shell. Completely wax free products. Then also VSC, right? Venetian Shoe Cream is another one that I've heard Shell Cordovan people talk about as well. And I'm trying to remember, is Venetian the one that uses neat's foot oil?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the compositions of the other ones.
This cream is well suited variety of leather types, including Essex, Chromexil, and Shell Cordovan. But anyway, so those would be the other ones. You know, anything about them or?
I just know that being a part of the community, a part of the Shell Cordovan community, I have Shell myself. I have some very old Shell, actually. I have some 60-year-old Shell plain toe bleachers, which is great. I love them. I, I hear what people use, and then I hear what they want to have done better, right? And that's kind of my approach is I don't pick an enemy. I don't pick a single brand to go against. I think that everybody's trying to make our goods last longer.
Yes.
Applause for that. I'm in that same industry. Let's all make our stuff last longer, especially our treasured items that we want to invest in. This is an investment. And when I hear that they say, "Oh, I wish that it evaporated quicker and didn't have to sit for a day," or I wish that it was easier to use, or I wish that I wasn't putting things on, I wish I didn't have to put gloves on before I put the product.
Yeah.
This is kind of the impetus behind me creating these products. And I don't just hear it once, right? If I hear it 5 times, 10 times, I start hearing it over and over again. That kind of gets me to go to the drawing board and be like, okay, this has been repeated for years now. This is something that actually I can deliver upon and offer value to the community, not just making a product for pure polish, but making a product specifically for these people who are saying they want this to be made. So that's kind of my approach.
And that was something else that attracted me to your products. One thing is being made in the USA. I like dealing with people. If I had everything else was equal and I know the owner and they're, US, I'd rather do business with them. But the non-toxic part of it was also appealing to me, which may sound counterintuitive if you see my cobbling and cars theme. You're like, dude, you're out in the garage painting. But yeah, as I'm getting older, I'm trying to be very careful with the
Yeah.
respiration and protection and eyewear and stuff goes into your skin. So,
Mhm.
I don't know if pine turpentine is good for you or not, but I'd much rather have coconut oil and orange oil on my hands than pine turpentine or God knows
Yeah.
what the other stuff that's in like the kiwi stuff is like. I did a video
Yeah.
of that, and the ingredients list is scary actually.
Well, and that's the thing also is that
Petroleum
per
products.
my understanding is that I'm the only one that discloses all the ingredients that's in the products, and
Yes.
I can't say that for certain because that's a pretty big claim. But of the main ones you mentioned, it's you have to go look up like an SDS report or you have to
Huh.
get further information. But I literally do put everything that goes in onto it. I just come from industries that are a lot more requiring of transparency. And so I'm just like, I'm going to bring that transparency to this brand as I bring it out to the shoe and leather world. I think that it's necessary. People are informed consumers. They want to know what using with their hands, what they're putting in their stuff. And so I'm going to put it out there for sure.
I love that. I love that because it relates to marketing in shoes, because as people start to learn about like what makes a good quality shoe, it's a little difficult sometimes because you start to learn about it and you see, oh, Goodyear welted shoe. No, it's a, cosmetic stitch, and
Sure, sure.
so there's a lot of stuff that's like, if you're doing the right thing, you would want transparency.
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
want people to know. And that, yeah, I love that. I love that approach. Um, if you don't mind me asking, what has happened with your business here since, I mean, I don't know. How long ago did we first connect? Was it pre-COVID? Was it during the maybe it was at the
Quite a
beginning?
few years ago. Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to remember when specific introductions
Yeah.
happened, right? Because we were all, especially during COVID, shut down. We were all at home polishing, taking care of things a lot closer, and also a lot more aware of things like scent, right? If you're in a
Yes.
closed environment, you're going to be a lot more aware of the way that the room smells or the home smells or the things around you. Maybe you're not wearing your dress shoes quite as often if you're on Zoom meetings all the time, but you're aware of when
Uh-huh.
you do crack open a jar of something, whether it's an aggressive smell or if it's a inviting smell. So yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
something that has been there. So yeah, the business. I've been doing pure polish since 2018, and it's good, right? I've got this beautiful warehouse here. I've shipped all over the world.
You seem to be
We're not.
growing. I hear only positive, and I see your name more and more, and you know,
Thank you. Yeah, unlike a lot of the others, I really approach it direct to consumer, right? Because that's a lot of my background is working specifically with people, getting feedback. I mean, every customer service email, you're going to hear from me. So
wow.
if you have questions, you're going to email and be like, Andy, this didn't work right, or I wasn't unsure of this. How is this supposed to work? What color do I need to pick? I'm answering all those emails, but that gives me direct feedback that I can apply to the products. So yeah, I still do all of that, and it's great. I enjoy it. I really feel like I'm a part of the community. Just came back from the SSIA, so Shoe Service Institute of America, their convention in New Jersey, and I got to meet some of the top shoe shiners in North America, and got to meet some of my competitors, owners, and the other companies, and we got to judge a shoe shine off there, which was
Oh
super
wow.
fun,
Yeah.
and got to see it, and so it was wonderful to just be a part of this upswell that we're seeing in growth of returning towards extending the life of our products, whether we're talking shoes or, as you said, cars or other areas. We're talking about the DIY. How do I make what I've invested in last longer? And you could see just that in appreciation for the new blood that's being injected into the old industry. And I'm happy and proud to be a part of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So, um, anything else? I have we missed anything or
No, I mean, if so, we'll just catch it up on the next time for sure, right?
yeah, yeah.
No, I mean this product, it was tested by Shell Cordovan users and
Uh,
lovers. I really do stand behind it.
uh,
Um, and I think it's something that anybody who has Shell Cordovan and really wants. Oh,
uh-oh. I don't even remember what we were saying.
yeah, no, you had asked me anything else about the products or anything else we needed to cover. I I wanted to say just that I really stand behind this product. It was tested by Shell Cordovan users, like lifetime users, long time that have tried all the other options.
Uh-huh.
Um, they
And
were
you're not
vertical.
joking. I know some of these guys, when you say they have like, dozens or over 100 pair, I mean,
Right, and from every tannery too. We're not just talking just Horween, right? We're
uh,
talking Italian tanneries. We're talking all over the world.
mhm, mhm.
Um, and they tested it, and I required as much as possible for them to do blind testing because I'd give them a
Uh,
number on the base, and they wouldn't know what that was. And only I, when doing the notes at the end, would know, oh, look, they all voted on the same number this time. And it seems to be that that's the consensus when I continue getting back the same number as, okay, we tried this, we let it evaporate, we brushed it in, we did the same thing. And it's this one seems to be glowing. There's no tackiness on the surface. And so
uh,
that was really good feedback to see
wow.
it
Okay.
develop in that process. So yeah,
Makes
it was
sense.
enjoyable process.
Well, and the other thing I kind of like is that this product, you're not starting from scratch with ingredients that have never been used. You're kind of using things that you know have been using for years that have already worked because the company existed before 2018, before you took it over, right? There was many years of research before that, you've told me.
Right. Yeah.
These
Yeah. I
aren't
mean,
brand new. This isn't a brand new philosophy you're trying for the first time.
no, no. I mean, the recipes first started in 2009, and so it got
It's 15
released.
years ago.
Yes, yes. So it's been around for a while. And, the products even open on a shelf, like this specific recipe, very similar to this recipe, was used and then sat and got opened and continued to be used over the course of multiple years. And that's what led to the development of this was it just continued to come back, still was the winner, and it was the king of the hill.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Great. Great. So now we have something that we could, take care of our shell, as well as all of our other products. And I've talked about your stuff. It's very easy to navigate your website, by the way, purepolishproducts.com, right? And
Yep.
you order directly from there, and they come packaged very nicely. And I noticed even some of the packaging, it's like the ribboned up paper. You don't use like polyester, the peanuts and stuff, so.
No, I try, and very early on, I got feedback about, don't use as much tape here, use recyclable packing here, use this just because if our goal is sustainability and we're trying to do that as much as possible, be aware of the place
Yeah,
where I can just do better. And that's the kind of feedback that if you give me as a customer, I'm going to hear it directly and
that's
I'm going to
awesome.
register it. And it's something that if it makes sense, it's going to be a change that we're going to get. So yeah, the stuff like you're mentioning, like the crinkle cut paper, the recyclable
Yeah.
paper that's used, was directly suggested by a customer about 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this too, even though it's not really part of this, but I, I've not seen you say this, but your high shine product, versus like if you see the Saphir, I'm going to edit this. Hold on. In other words, I don't see you saying much of this, but I think it should be said. So here's your high shine wax. And this is, my gosh, I know I'm 50 because it's 60 milliliters, 2 ounces, 60 milliliters. Same focal plane. Here's a Saphir Medal d'Or. You would assume it's much bigger, but this one is not much bigger. This one is 75 milliliters.
Right.
It's scalloped. So if you look at the cost per ounce, and not obviously that's not the only reason we're buying it, but everything else being the same, this is much, much less per ounce or per milliliter than this is because you get the whole thing. This is 60 and this is only 75. So even though it looks like it's twice as big, it's not very much bigger and it's a lot more expensive. So not that, like I said, I'm not concerned with price in and of itself. This is one of those fields where I don't think people should feel bad about spending a little more than, you know what I mean? Like the Kiwi store-bought department store stuff, because for $4 you can get Kiwi, but I don't remember how much your stuff is, but the
Yeah,
best might only be 10 or 12 bucks more, you know?
yeah, yeah, and definitely if you're talking about taking care of a product, and making it last longer or protect
Yeah.
it or shine it up in this case for high shine,
Yeah.
um, then it's something that you've got a pair of shoes, let's say, good quality, Goodyear welted, you just got it entry, 200, 300 or something, let's say, all the way up, right? There's no limit
Yeah.
to how much you spend on shoes.
Right.
If you're talking about protecting that investment, then the difference between spending $5 versus
Mhm.
$15 versus $25 should essentially be negligible. It's what works best for me, for
Yes.
this investment, my usage, and the outcome I'm trying to achieve. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And this stuff lasts a long time. And cleaner conditioner in the last couple of years, I've only gone through half of it. Early on in COVID, I was doing quite a bit more with the shoes too, making a lot of videos and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I
Sure.
found that, well, I don't even know if you can tell that I used any of this, but that was to shine both of these shoes. And,
Oh, good, good.
you know, I mean, around the edges, I can still see where I didn't touch any of the products. So it goes a long way. There's just a little bit of a dent in it, but you shouldn't need to use much, right?
No, no, it's very, what I like to say is it's very nutrient dense, right? And your leather requires, or your shell requires nutrients to make sure that it lasts longer.
Mhm.
And so you're using a minimal amount because it's not we're not adding any sort of massive fillers that melt off and burn off and slough off and are useless. Like we're pretty distilled onto the specifics of what's going in. So you're only using little bits. It's absorbing real quickly. That's it.
Uh-huh.
You don't need to go much further.
If I remember from reading the directions, this one you only need to wait like 5 minutes to brush, right?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I mean, of course, any of these things, like if you grab a whole fingertip full and slough it on, it's going to be different than if you grab a small, dime-sized amount or something and you're rubbing it in properly, and then you can keep going. It's always dependent on how much you use, the dryness of the shell, how recipient it is for absorption and whatnot, and then your environment too.
Okay, and if it is old shell we're working with, I guess my gauge would be if it soaks in very quickly and I put a second coat on and that one seems to be absorbing in. Maybe my real question is, how do I know when I've put enough or too much on? If it just continually feels greasy and won't go in, you've put too much on, right?
Yeah, I would just start at one layer at a time. If, let's say you inherited or you just acquired somehow a really old pair of Shell Cordovan and it hasn't been given new oil since the tannery, I'd start with one layer, give it, brush it, give it maybe a day, let it set, maybe brush it again, because the nice thing about brushing is it helps agitate the oil so that it spreads evenly throughout the shell. So that brushing isn't just for aesthetic, but it also helps clean and smooth off the surface. So brushing it, and then maybe you could go for a second round. But it's one of these things, like you're just trying to bring it up to a certain point. You're not trying to get it to where it's blooming. Excess bloom is sometimes when it expels the oils and waxes,
especially where it folds, right? Or right?
Yeah, you'll often see that on the roll. Yeah, yeah. And so brush 5 times as much as you would normally expect, especially if it's really old, and put the oils back in and let it set and try another round.
And that is like the big joke in all the shell communities. You just brush it until like your arms are about to fall off, and it does.
Yeah, and that's
brushed.
Because that's the way. What we're doing is you've got this thin strip here, but you're trying to make it so that all the oils are moving back and forth and staying throughout, so that the microscopic layers are able to heal and move and do it so that they're not tearing or not cracking in any regard. So that's what the brushing really does do. But yes, so it's like condition once, brush twice. Condition once, brush twice.
Okay, got it. Yeah. And I don't know how to describe it, but the shell does feel differently. These are 11.5 Triple E. I have exactly the same shoe, McNeil 2.0 and 11.5 Triple E in calfskin. These do fit differently. Now, I can't take one example and make a generality. But there's a little bit of a difference in the way they have fit. There's a little bit more room in the heel on these. But the way that I don't know if this is in my head. I could be biased because I want them to be better, in my mind, but they do feel different. They do have a different feel, the way the shell feels around my foot. And I feel like it's hard to describe. It's not floppier. It's not softer like I've had sheepskin shoes that are just unstructured. But I feel like where the here where the vamp creases, I feel like it doesn't impinge down. It just feels like the shell is smoother, butterier, I think, without being weak or floppy. I don't know. It just feels better.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's experience is different too, but yeah, definitely it's got different thicknesses. Yeah, and shell versus calf is going to respond differently to flexion on your foot potentially. So yeah, for sure.
Great. Well, as we said, purepolishproducts.com. And like I said, I think the menu set up, very easy to navigate. And I've got a bunch of your stuff. The other one that I did on one of my other videos was that, what is it called? The bentonite clay in it, the
water resistant cream.
Water resistant. And you did say waterproof, and it is. And I tested it on that video, and it is more water resistant. And I like your approach. It's not waterproof, and it's not as waterproof as the silicone stuff, but it's not going to clog up the pores and seal off the leather and make it, where it doesn't breathe. So I think you've got a lot of good things. So,
and that's kind of one of our core tenets is continue to make your leather or shell last longer. And so it's very important that you're not sealing it completely off because your feet sweat and, look to the video. I'm sure I said it the same way as I would say it now, because that's essentially the same approach is we can resist, but if we make it proof, then it shuts it off from both ways.
Right, right, right. Okay. Wow. Every time I sit down with you, I feel like I've learned something and I feel also you're just such a positive person. You're just always a, pleasure to talk to.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Likewise, Bob. It's been a joy. Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Andy's available through the website, and I'm sure there's a email you link on there as well, right? If you actually want to ask yourself personally
Yep,
some
yep.
questions,
There's
right?
a contact, there's a chat box, there's all that stuff. All that stuff goes to me.
All right. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching. Please hit that little thumbs up if you did get some value out of this. God bless you guys and take care.